Right, before I get warm and cozy in this bed, I want to talk about period. I am in my luteal phase and I want to explain what that means. So we have 4 phases of our menstrual cycle. I'm going to have some images. There's going to be something going on. So, because I'm visual, you can't just talk at me. I got to read what you're saying. So the first phase of your period, we all know, or you should know, is your menstrual cycle. So your menstrual cycle is when you bleed, okay? The second phase of your menstrual cycle is your follicular phase. This is when, everything went bye-bye down the toilet for those few days or whatever. And now it's like, okay, we didn't get pregnant. Let's try again. And we start making the follicles in the ovaries so then we can develop egg. Once this happens in the follicular phase, we then go into the ovulation phase. This is when the eggs have been made during the follicular phase. They were made all up in the ovary and stuff, and then they need to leave home. The eggs need to leave your ovaries. So once the eggs leave the ovaries, that's the ovulation phase because they're getting ready to meet the sperm, right? That's, okay. As they're like, where my sperm at, right? Ovulation, like the eggs drop in. We then go in, and so typically in the ovulation phase is when you get pregnant. If you like, hey, no kids, because I'm done. But that's, I digress. We then, if that's not gonna happen, then you go into luteal phase because then it's like, okay, I guess nothing's gonna happen. Show's canceled, and then everything, the hormones just go boom, everything doom. It's late, and so I'm not gonna give you like the cap cut sound effects. We gonna use homemade, okay? But just know hormones plummet. Everything goes down in the luteal phase. I know I'm in my luteal phase because of the following. My breasts are tender. I'm also really, really tired right now. Like I should be going to sleep, but the way I love to educate y'all on the internet, I need to bang this out and then I'm gonna go to sleep. And then I'm hungry. I want to eat the whole house and home. When I tell you I had dinner, I'm eating all the snacks, eating my kids' snack. I'm still hungry. And then I'm like, what's going on? Girl, you in your luteal phase. And gone are the days of me beating myself up and going against my body. I work with my body, and I'm so happy to educate my clients in my health program. Like what I shared with you, this little snippet is what's in my health program. So there's different foods that I share, different yoga poses you can do to just support your menstrual cycle, because it's not just the bleeding. It's every month, every 30 days. We in a cycle all day, every day. It's just dependent. Which one are you in? So let's just recap: menstrual, follicular, ovulation, luteal. Those are the 4. All right, make sure you follow me at Leslie Pittman for more. I'm gonna go to sleep. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Okay, bye. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the 4 stages of your menstrual cycle. As a young woman, it is very important that you know what stage of your cycle are you in. In case this is your first time clicking on my pretty face, thank you. Make sure you subscribe. My name is Leslie, and I am a registered nurse with 12 years of healthcare experience, and I'm also a certified yoga instructor with 5 years of teaching experience. Today, though, we're focusing on the 4 stages of your menstrual cycle, because I wish this is like big sister education, if you will, chit chat. If I was in my 20s, because I'm not, I know maybe I do look like it, but if I was in my 20s, I would want to know about this when it comes to my wellness, because knowing what your body is doing internally will help you maximize your workouts. It will help you be better at your career. It will help you be better in relationships, because you'll know when to maybe interact with certain people and when not to interact with certain people. Knowing your menstrual cycle will also help you, again, like with those workouts. So there's certain workouts you should not be doing when you are bleeding versus when you are not. So I am getting all this information that I'm about to share from the Cleveland Clinic, clevelandclinic.org. I will leave the link down below so you can read it at your leisure. So menstruation is the monthly shedding of the lining of your uterus. That's where the blood comes, okay? The blood is in your panty, right? Menstruation is also known by the term menses, menstrual period, menstrual cycle, or your period. That's how that's how I know it as. Menstrual blood, which is partly blood and partly tissue from the inside of your uterus, flows from your uterus and I want to make sure I'm saying this clearly, through your cervix and out of your body through your vagina. It's important too, as a young woman, that you know the different parts of your, not only your external body, but internally. Because when you have education about your internal body, that will give you more autonomy, more freedom. And with autonomy as a young woman, you're less likely to get taken advantage of. I'm just going to call a thing because you'll be like, no, this is my body. This is my uterus, right? So just to repeat that, the blood sheds from the uterus. So you have a lining that builds up, and we're going to get into which phase that lining builds up. It builds up in your uterus, this lining, because what our cycle is doing is preparing us for pregnancy. And I know there's people that don't want kids, but how our bodies were designed is, as if you are a woman with a uterus, if you're a person that has a uterus, your body is designed to birth children, to birth humans. So every month is like, let's get this show on the road. And it builds up that lining in hopes that lining is for the egg, for the embryo to attach in the lining. If that doesn't happen, then it just sheds. It says, all right, let's clear this out. And it clears out all of that stuff, that lining, and that lining flows from your uterus, goes into your cervix. Okay, that's where the baby would come out of, and then goes out through your vagina. Okay, so those uterus, cervix, vagina are all very important parts of your anatomy that you need to know, because different things can happen, like certain STIs, sexually transmitted infections, can affect your cervix. There can also affect, things can affect your vagina as well, your vulva. So these are the things that you need to know as a young woman. Again, these are things I wish I knew if I was in my 20s. Menstruation is completely driven by your hormones. And I am about to be 35, so I'm on the cusp of what is called perimenopause. And a lot of what I'm hearing on my corner of the internet is this about the hormonal shift. And I'm hearing about perimenopause. I'm hearing about menopause, which, if you don't know what those things are, you probably have heard it from your aunties. But if you have not, menopause is when the absence of menstruation, the absence of bleeding for at least 12 months. So if you have not bled for 12 months from your uterus, you are in menopause, okay? And with that, though, does come a lot of hormonal shifts, because your body is no longer doing what it's been doing typically for 30 plus, 40 plus years, right? So what are hormones? Hormones are chemical messengers in your body. So just imagine your body is a house, right? And there's Amazon, right? Amazon is somebody that comes to your house. You also have UPS. You also might have Uber Eats. Imagine each of those people as messengers, as hormones. They each do deliver different things, right? So you need these things. You need these hormones in your body to metabolize your food better, to sleep effectively, to work out effectively. So your pituitary gland, which is in your brain, it's like how we get from my uterus all the way to my brain. I'm going to continue to tell you. Your pituitary gland in your brain and your ovaries make and release certain hormones at certain times during your menstrual cycle. So that's why it's so important. And I discussed this in my 12-week health program. It's so important that you sleep. People say sleep when you need to be sleeping at least 7 to 8 hours every night, because with sleep, it helps release certain toxins from your body. And those toxins, if they're not released, can affect certain hormones, such as your pituitary gland from working properly. If your pituitary gland is not working properly, then you probably are maybe somebody like, I don't have regular periods. And that is something that you have to also know if you're not having regular periods. And what that means is every 28 to 30 days. So I'm going to say that again. A regular period is every 28 to 30 calendar days you are bleeding, okay? If you are not doing this, that means that something is wrong. I'm also going to put this here. If you have a medical condition and you've talked with a doctor, I'm not talking to you. But if you're somebody that has not talked to a doctor for whatever reason, and that's why I make these videos, because I want to be a resource for you, you need to find a primary care provider and have a conversation with them and be like, I haven't had my period in like 3 months. And rule out the first thing, maybe you're pregnant, right? And if you're like, no, I'm not, you rule that out, you're not pregnant, then they'll do other things, other tests. So I am just an advocate of, please go see the doctors, y'all. And if you, at this time of recording, let me say that as well, I need to change my date, my calendar. It says we're still in March. We are in April. It is April 2nd, 2026. I know a lot of people are losing their jobs. They don't have the money to they're like, doctor, I'm just trying to afford groceries, right? Please know there are doctors that you can see at a sliding scale. There are resources out there for you. There's like health fairs. And that might also be because I'm in the health and wellness space. I see so many in my community. I live in the greater Orlando area. There's free health screenings that you can get. Take advantage of those things. Go seek out, just Google free health fair and your city into Google or into chat, because if you are a 20-something, you use in chat, and you'll be surprised at the free resources that are available to you. Go to these fairs, get the free health screening, have a conversation to the doctor or the nurse that is doing the health screening on you, and express to them hey, I lost my job. How can I have a visit with you? Because, maybe you're like, oh, I actually like this doctor, or I like this nurse practitioner. I want to continue to actually be seen by them, and they will provide you those resources. I cannot 100% guarantee that, but ideally, yes, they can help you be seen, because it's so important. Having a period regularly is health, is wellness. And I feel like so many times, I don't know, supplements, I am currently actually taking a new supplement called creatine, and I feel like though people just jump to the supplement before they see their doctor. They'll be like, I'm just gonna take this supplement and I'll feel better, or I'll get my period. And that's not how it works, because if you do or do not bleed, your body is trying to tell you something. And sometimes you could be just stressed out. So how long is a normal menstrual cycle? Just to reiterate, the average length of a menstrual cycle is 28 days. However, a cycle can range in length from 21 days to about 35 days and still be normal. So how many days between periods is normal? The days between periods is your menstrual cycle length. The average menstrual cycle lasts 28 days. However, cycles lasting as little as 21 days or as long as 35 days can be normal. So just to be clear, the menstrual cycle, you're like, oh my gosh, am I going to bleed for the 28 days? No. What you typically will bleed, everybody's different, but some women, maybe it's just 3 days. Some women, maybe it's 5. Some women, maybe it's the full 7 days. If you're bleeding longer than that, and it's you're filling a pad greater than an hour every day of this 7-day period, one, you're probably very tired. You've probably fainted multiple times. You also need to see a doctor, because you might have something called, and again, I'm not here to diagnose, but you might have endometriosis. You might have something going on in your uterus where you have, oh my gosh, it's blanking out on me, but endometriosis, okay? So let's just get into the 4 cycles, okay? So the 4 cycles of the menstrual cycle, 4 phases of the menstrual cycle are as follows. The menses cycle. So that is the menses phase, the menstrual phase. This is the phase that we just went into a lot of detail about, where you are bleeding. This is the first day of your period. It's when the lining of your uterus sheds. We went over that through your vagina if pregnancy does not occur. Most people, and I said this already, bleed 3 to 5 days, but a period lasting only 3 days to as many as 7 days is usually not a cause to worry. Because like I already said, how many pads or tampons are you going through, right? Personally, I have 1 to 2 heavy days. My period lasts about 4 4 days, if that, maybe 5. Okay. So then we get into, after you bleed, then we get into the follicular phase. The follicular phase begins on the day you actually get your period and ends at ovulation. It overlaps the menses phase and ends when you ovulate. Ovulate is when you drop down the eggs. During this time, so we're in the follicular phase, the level of hormone estrogen rises. What is estrogen? Estrogen is a hormone that is very important to women. We need the estrogen. Okay, so during the time of the follicular phase, your hormone estrogen rises, which causes the lining of your uterus, the endometrium, to grow and thicken. Remember, I told you all it's preparing for birth, okay? In addition, another hormone, which is the follicle stimulating hormone, FSH, causes follicles in your ovaries to grow. During days 10 to 14, because remember, it's 28 to 30 days that this whole cycle takes place. So during days 10 to 14, one of the developing follicles will form a fully mature egg known as ovum. Then we get into ovulation. Ovulation is the phase that occurs roughly at about day 14 in a 28-day menstrual cycle. This is when there's a sudden increase in another hormone called the luteinizing hormone, your LH hormone, which causes your ovary to drop the eggs. This event is ovulation. If you are trying to get pregnant, you are very familiar with this. But if you one of my younger sisters who are like, girl, no, pregnancy, I do not want to see that, right? You're not concerned about ovulation. This next phase has trended a lot across social media platforms called the luteal phase. The luteal phase is because of how your mood is affected in the luteal phase. Personally, and I will put that TikTok that I did either in the middle of this video or you already saw it. I was in my luteal phase in that video. And when I'm in my luteal phase, I don't want to work out. I barely want to do a yoga stretch. I don't even want to look. You look at me funny and I'm mad. Like, it's not good. But because I'm aware of my phases of my cycle, I know how to meet myself where I'm at. Right? So the luteal phase, this phase lasts from about day 15 to day 28. So it's right before you're about to bleed, okay? Your egg leaves your ovary. So you have 2 ovaries, right? I don't know if editing Leslie is going to have pictures, but how the female reproductive system looks is you have an ovary on the left side, you have ovary on the right side. For the camera, it should be that, but the right and the left. Anyways, you have 2 ovaries, one on this side, one on that side, okay? And then you have the fallopian tubes, and then you have your uterus, and then you have your cervix, and then the vagina, and then we get the outside, which is your lips, your vulva, okay? So those ovaries are very important, right? So your egg leaves the ovary. So it could either leave the right or the left ovary, okay, the egg, and it begins to travel. Look, I already went ahead of myself. Through your fallopian tubes to your uterus. The level of the hormone progesterone rises to help prepare your uterine lining for pregnancy. If the egg becomes fertilized by sperm, so that means if you have sex, what is sex? Sex is when a penis goes into the vagina and the penis ejaculates sperm. And this happens if you do not wear a condom. I'm saying it very blatant because sometimes people don't know, and I'm not here to shame you. I am here to educate you as a registered nurse. So penis goes into the vagina, the penis ejaculates sperm. And if the person that has the penis is not wearing a condom, this sperm will then find an egg. And if you so happen to be in your luteal phase right before, and I'm gonna be real funky because a lot of people, they're like, ew, you're on your period, I don't have sex. So you most likely are not having sex on your period. So if they catch you right before in that luteal phase, and they ejaculate, that sperm's gonna do what it naturally does, and it's gonna look for an egg, and it's like, oh, egg, and attach, and then it's gonna do what it does. That's the biology of life. and it's going to try to attach to the uterus, okay? That lining, because that lining is now built up, right? So if that happens, you become pregnant. If pregnancy doesn't occur, estrogen and progesterone levels drop, and the thick lining of your uterus sheds during your period. Okay, so that's when those estrogen and those progesterone levels drop, like they plummet, they go down to the pits of hell. That's how it feels personally. My mood is shit. I don't want to do anything. And I'm going to make an entire separate video of the workouts that I suggest. And I talk about this. I'm so excited I'd be tripping over my words. I talk about this in my 12-week health program, but I'll also share like in another video, like, you know, because words. There are certain workouts, and sometimes honestly, like in your luteal phase, just rest, if I'm going to be honest with you. So there's that, right? So those are the 4 phases. So just to reiterate, I got so excited and I kind of like, you know, you like get so excited and you're like, whoo. So the 4 phases are your menstrual, the menses phase, when you bleed. The second phase is your follicular phase. So this is when estrogen is rising. And this is typically like right, I don't know about you, but me, like right after my period, I am like, yes, yes, yes. So typically just a little bit of what I will make a separate video for. My follicular phase, like I'll probably do like a hard workout. What is a hard workout? A HIIT workout, high intensity interval training. If that be cardiovascular, if that be doing my bike, if that be running on the treadmill, running outside, I will do those things during the follicular phase. The third phase is the ovulation. This is when the eggs drop, okay? So this is when, a sudden increase in another hormone, the luteinizing hormone, which causes your ovary to release the egg, okay? And then we have our luteal phase, and this is when, so technically the luteal phase is when the egg actually drops. The ovulation phase is when the ovary releases the egg. So ovulation, the ovary releases the egg. Luteal phase is when the egg leaves your ovary and begins to travel. And that's when the luteal phase is when the progesterone, let me just make sure I'm saying this right. Okay, so the progesterone rises to help prepare your uterine line for pregnancy. But if you don't become pregnant, what happens is the estrogen and progesterone levels drop. Okay, so those are the 4 phases of your menstrual cycle. And just to give you, just to give you like, especially like I said, this is for young women, and maybe you're a little bit younger than your 20s and you're seeing this, but signs that this is also in the Cleveland Clinic article. Other signs you're getting your period are mood changes. So remember, I told you luteal phase, my mood is shit. It's bad. You might have trouble sleeping, headache, food cravings, bloating, breast tenderness, acne. Also, when I get my period, once my period is here or like right before, I'm like not as hungry. My bowels are really slow. There's something called your period poops. Right? So these are just things to consider. And so I'm going to close with this. When you understand your period, you'll be able to navigate your life better. So make sure you like this video, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.